This is Tom. Today I want to give you a little demo, a trick that I have for solving a problem that many of us have. For example, suppose you're making a map of a city or editing it and discover that a small street is missing. So how do you add that street to the city map? Well, one solution, of course, would be to go find a vector database, import it, and see if you could find the city street. But of course, the problem there is, suppose you're mapping Los Angeles. There's a lot of streets. You may have to download all of Los Angeles to get that one little tiny street. That's not really good. Or another alternative is you could go onto Google Maps or Bing Maps and do a screenshot and then place that screenshot in your MapPublisher Adobe Illustrator document and then trace the street position. But as you know, Google and Bing Maps are in the Web Mercator projection, and the chances are that you're making a map that's in a different projection, so nothing quite lines up. So what is my little trick for getting around this? Well, what I do is I'm in MapPublisher, of course, and I want to bring in XYZ tiles of Google, Bing, OpenStreetMap, and all these other web mapping services into MapPublisher in a different projection. And that can be done with a little help from QGIS. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate to you today. Now, my demonstration is going to be the entire world, not a city map. You could see a world map here in the equal Earth projection. I'm presently working on new natural Earth coastline data at 1 to 7.5 million scale. It's a lot more detailed. And what I want to do is check the alignment of the coastline in Tasmania. You could see it down here, to the right, off to the side. There's a lot of shape shearing going on because it's on the periphery of the projection. And I think this would be a good example to show how you can import XYZ tiles from QGIS into MapPublisher and have them register with your image. So without further ado, let's jump into this. What I'll do is zoom in on Tasmania, maybe get a little bit closer here. Okay, in the first step, what we need to do is create a new map layer. I'll click on the Add Map Layer button in Map Views. This comes up, and I'm just going to call this Box. And I want to make it a area type map layer. Click OK. Very good. Now I'm going to get my rectangle tool. And I'm interested in the southwestern tip of Tasmania, that really wild coastline down there. So I will draw a box. Yeah, it's a box, all right. Let's make that with no fill so we can see it a little bit better. There it is. Very good. Tuck that away. And next what I'll do is go to my Map Views, Fly Out menu, and go to Export Box. And it's being exported as a shapefile, as you can see, and onto my desktop. So I'll just click OK, and it'll throw it onto my desktop. Okay, that's the first step in MapPublisher. Now what we'll do is go to QGIS, which of course is a free application. Many of us have it on our computers already. It's also cross-platform, so that makes it even more popular. And what I'll do is, here's the box shape that we just exported via MapPublisher. I'm going to drag that into the project window. And here we have a little shape that appears, showing where the box is. Now what I'll do is, if you go to your browser panel, there is a heading for XYZ tiles. I already have a lot of different XYZ tiles loaded up in here. I'll double click on Bing Satellite View. And you can see a satellite view appears for Tasmania. And note that the view is sheared. to the equal Earth projection. And there's also other options available. Here's OpenStreetMap if you want to use OpenStreetMap, Google Map. So you name it, it's probably available, and we could, in this case, we could look for coastline alignments using these images. But what I really want to do is use Google Maps instead. So what I'm going to do is create a new connection to XYZ tiles, select the major heading here, right mouse button, click on it, and say New Connection, and we'll call this Google Satellite. Very good. And next what we have to do is add a URL for Google Satellites. Now, where would you find that? Fortunately, I have a online tutorial. We'll bring that up. I'll show you the URL to get to this tutorial at the end of this talk. We'll scroll down to the bottom, and you will find a list of URLs for making these connections. Here's Google Satellite. We'll just select and copy that. Very good. Go back over to QGIS, paste it into the URL field, and then click OK. And now we have Google Map as one of the options here. So let me, Google Satellite. There it is. I have to double click on that to bring it up, and Google Satellite just appeared. Now, one of the funny things that happens with Google Satellite images, if it's on the periphery of your map projection and there's a lot of distortion, shearing going on, it sometimes doesn't appear. So it is a matter of faith that it's actually there when it's on the top. I'll just turn off all of these other images. You don't see the Google Satellite image, unfortunately, in this case, but trust me, it is there. It's just a little glitch with the program. So now that we have the Google Satellite image loaded, which you can't see, we'll go to the Project drop menu in QGIS, and we'll go to the Import Export option, and we'll say Export Map to Image. Dialog comes up, and there's a lot of numbers on this. The only one you really have to think about is the resolution. You can see the default is 72 dpi. The higher the resolution, the more detail you get. Usually I start off with about 500 dpi. Let's see what happens if I add that in there. Go down here, and we have an image that's 5,700 by 6,100 pixels in size. This will take probably a minute to export, so I'm going to bring it down a little bit in size. There we go. 3,000 by 3,000 or more or less, and I'll click the Save button, and we'll just give it a name. I'll just call it G for Google. And we have a variety of different formats that we can save it in. We can save it in TIFF format. This is a GeoTIFF, so you could import it directly into MapPublisher. Or I usually just go with JPEG format. I'm using this just as a reference image. It's a throwaway image that I'll delete as soon as I make my edits, so JPEG would be perfectly fine. And incidentally, when you save it in JPEG format, it also saves it with a world file. So let's just click OK. It's going to go on my desktop. And this will take a few moments to save, hopefully not too long. There we are. We got the message that it's been successfully saved. So let's tuck QGIS away for a moment. Here's the image that we just saved, the Google image, and you can see that it came with a world file. Very good. So now we'll go back to our MapPublisher document, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer now above the box in Map Views, and let's just call this Google, and instead of an area, let's call it an image layer. Click OK, and let's just add it. So what we'll do is we'll go to File and Place in the normal way that we add images to MapPublisher. There's Google.jpg, double click that, click in here, it's really big. What we need to do is register it. So we'll go to the MapPublisher menu, register image. This dialog comes up. What we need to do is hit load file. And here's the g.jpw world file. Select that, click OK, and look what happens. We have a nice image of Tasmania that's been added to our map. It's in the equal Earth projection, which is good. I'll drag the image layer down below the box. Look at this. Here's the original box we had. We were going for southwestern Tasmania. Oftentimes when you do this, you get more than what you originally bargained for in image size, which is okay. So we can now use this to check the alignment of the coast, the equal Earth coast that I created. Now I can't see this very well, so here's the coast layer. What I'll do is I'll just select the coast layer. Let's make it a color that's a little more visible. There's the stroke. Let's make it a bright yellow, and let's make it a little bit thinner so we can see it better. Instead of 1 point, I'm going to make it 0.1 point. Yeah. And just glancing at this, the alignment looks pretty good. Now, it's a little bit hard to tell because this. Remember, we exported the Google satellite image as a 300 dpi image. It doesn't really quite have as much resolution as I would have preferred. If I was doing this, for real and not in a demo, I probably would have, exported it at 500, 700, 1000 dpi, something like that, so I could see the coastline a little bit better. But one of the things I noticed looking at this is it looks as if there may be an inlet right here. Let me turn off the coast, toggle it a couple times, and I don't know if that's a inlet of the sea or a lake. It's hard to tell at this resolution. Now, what I did, before starting this demo is I saved out a Bing satellite image at 1000 dpi. So we'll bring in a different satellite image at a much higher resolution and see if that clears up the mystery. So we'll go back to Map Views, and we'll create a new layer. It's going to be an image type, and let's just call it Bing. Very good. And we will place it. Object, where is it placed? I usually do this with keyboard command. And here's the Bing at 1000 dpi. Double click on that. And object, MapPublisher, register image, a drill I've been through many, many times. Load file, and Bing, here's the world file. Click OK. And wow, here's our Bing image right now. So I'll toggle that, and you can see, what a difference the increased resolution makes. Now looking at this this section here, it actually does appear to be an inlet of the sea. So I'm going to have to edit my new natural Earth 7.5 million coastline to go through this inlet, and I looked it up online before starting this talk. It happens to be called Bathurst Harbor, and I did make the edit on the final coastline, so Bathurst Harbor is actually on the new natural Earth image. But what I would do with this is I would just look around, inspect the coastline. It looks like up in here the coastline ought to follow this inlet in a little more than it does, and you just make adjustments this way. And you can imagine doing this for a city map. You could just quickly digitize in your road, get that alignment, and then when you're all done with this, since this is just for reference, is you could just select your satellite images or Google Street View maps or OpenStreetMap. Hit the trash can, get rid of them, because these are just reference images, and there's your final product. Okay, a couple promised URLs that I had for you. There's the URL for the tutorial and the XYZ tile links. And should you be interested in the new Natural Earth, draft data is available at 1 to 7.5 million scale at the link below. So please have a look at it, and if you see any problems, let me know. Thank you very much.